Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Daragh Knox, and it's a pleasure to be in Galway City this afternoon. So this next half an hour is going to be about career transitions. And we're all here today because our careers are important to us. So to start, a small story, because not everybody has a significant career transition during their life. Recently, I was in conversation with a few friends on a Sunday evening, and one particular person, in the flow of a conversation, said, "I love my job." This particular lady went to school, as we do, 4 and 5 years of age, got to 17 or 18, did the Leaving Cert, out into the workforce. She had a clear line of sight of what she wanted to do. She was in the employment market for a period of time. Up came the job, she took it. She's now in her 50s, between 50 and 60, we'll say. 35 years in that job. 35 years of loyalty, of commitment, of hard work, of getting on with others. Her career path was linear. Wonderful that the country provided, the nation provided the education for this person with a set of talents, and she expounded those talents through the education system, and out she went into the workforce, and the employer that took her on took the benefit of all of her hard work and loyalty and commitment for 35 years. She's going to retire presumably in the next 10 years. We hope she does so in the full of her health, a happy woman, a lovely career. The company provided her with a wage that allowed her to live within her means or structure herself financially. She gave them loyalty. We know that she's conscientious and hardworking because she's also active in the community of the evening. She's involved in the GA club. She's involved in bingo. So a beautiful story about the harmony that can exist out in the workplace. However, it's not always like that. For a lot of us, it's not like that. So today what I'm going to do is, because I work with people who are going through a career transition, I've got 3 examples. I'm going to obviously be careful with confidentiality, and I'm going to tell you about the steps they took to deal with the transition that was coming to them. So, now, we're going to start with an economics snapshot. So this is statistics from the Central Statistics Office above in Dublin. And it's from Q2 2024, and it's telling us that there's a 75% participation rate in the Republic of Ireland. And look at the unemployment rate. I know some people are unemployed for periods of their lives. It's at 4.6%, and economists would say that a high-performing economy has an unemployment rate of between 3 and 5%. So Ireland, on that statistic, is doing quite well. Also included in here is the participation of women in the marketplace. Since the records collections began in the CSO on this particular area, women's participation has never been at a higher level. So, you look at this chart here and you say, God almighty, Ireland's doing great. Isn't Ireland doing great at the minute? And of course, when you consider the early days of this nation, about 80 years ago or 100 years around as a nation state, that hasn't always been the case. In the 50s, the 60s, the 80s in particular, the choices were limited. It was pretty much, if you don't get a job, you've got to go. Other economies were mature enough to incorporate the talents of Irish people. We had a recession in 2008. So this is a small, open economy, subject to the vagaries of the global economy. But right now, Ireland is in a good place. The challenge with this, a different challenge from the guys in the 80s and the 70s had, now there's choice. How am I going to navigate my way around choice? So it's a double-edged sword in that regard. This chart here, the one on your left-hand side shows where the enterprises are, the businesses are. So it's a pie chart that depicts distribution, construction, industry, and services as 5 categories of employment or enterprise in the nation. And services comprise about 60% of those enterprises. So that makes sense, right? Because every village, a lot of villages in Ireland has a shop or a petrol station. They're services. Teachers, they're providing a service. They'd be in there. I'd be in there as a service provider. The Financial Services Centre above in Dublin out in the Docklands, they're in there as service providers. The guys who are providing IT support, they're service providers. And if you look then at industries at 5.5%, so there's actually not that many number of companies compared to services, but that makes sense too. because they're here. But in the context of the overall number of companies, it's small. And construction, these are the guys now that are digging up our roads at the minute, they're building our houses. 19.9% of the enterprise in Ireland are involved in construction. And distribution then makes up about 13%. We're a small island nation state, we need to get stuff in here, we need to get stuff out here. That's where logistics come in. We're in the Northwest Atlantic, and Europe and America are big markets for us as an export-led economy, but also because we're not self-sustaining. So if every country in the world disappeared in the morning, we wouldn't last very long. Sure, we'd have plenty of milk, cheese, yogurt, butter, but we don't have cars, we wouldn't have phones, and we'd kind of struggle after a while. Now over on the right-hand side, that chart shows where the people are. So it's a pretty straightforward map. There's 61.9% of the enterprise are in services, and guess what? 60% of the people are there. Industry changes a bit because there isn't as many companies, but by God, they employ an awful lot of people. So you'd often see the medtech companies here. There could be 1,000 people in there. There could be 1,200 people in there in one building or two buildings. And construction, 8.6% of the population who are working are in that sector. And then we've got the distribution, the guys that are moving, the trucks, the planes, the ships, getting stuff in and out of the country. So that's from, I think that's Q2 2022, it's 2 years old. There's really not that amount of fundamental change in the economy in that period of time. That's where the companies are. That's where we are as people. Now, for us then, so the career crossroads, the transition, that transition period that comes sometimes expectedly, sometimes it's unplanned, and how we're going to deal with that, and choosing your best path. So I'm going to give you 3 examples next of people whose confidentiality we retain, but we're going to tell their story. I'm going to give you an interpretation of their story. So there's a couple of things to bear in mind. I'm only going to talk about one side of it. CV work, social media work, career options and academic options, that happens all as a part of coaching and mentoring. But I want to talk about their experiences. Now, I originally had picked these 3 people because there are 3 different stages of their career and had 3 different levels of academic qualifications. People I'm meeting today have different levels of academic qualifications. And they're at different ages, so they're different stages of their career. And the approaches they took. A couple of things to say about these people as well. They have been, some of them have been involved in working for a long time, others not so long. Not one of them complained about the company they work for. So you can often hear people say, you know, this and that and the other. No. And these people had a very strong sense of responsibility. I am in this position right now. I have it to sort it out. So very, very responsible people in their approach, and they got engaged. And in each of them as well, I want to say this, which is common across these, their mindset was very, very important. Their mindset was in a particular place based on the experiences they had directly leading up to deciding to get in contact. That required work. And we got on with that work. So, 3 different people, 3 different age groups, anonymous, different levels of academic prowess, or achievement, or duration in the education system, whichever is the fairest way to characterize it, and how they got through that transition. Now, we all have personal values. This particular person has 20 years of experience. Now, if you look at her CV, what has she covered? Legal. She's worked in the legal industry, the education industry. She's worked in retail. She's worked in logistics and freight. She's worked in a number of different types of company in her 20 years. And she's found herself in this particular company, and she's found herself getting upset. Now, she's a highly professional person, so it doesn't show. It doesn't show that she's upset. And one of the reasons why she's upset, it comes to light in our conversation, is because she's a naturally caring, giving person. And when she joined this company, she was inclined to say to anybody, sure, I'll give you a hand with that. Leave that there, I'll look after that. Don't worry about it, I'll look after that. But what happened was that the work came, given a hand and taking on a particular task as a daily routine are 2 different things. And that particular company did not have clearly defined role descriptions, job descriptions. So now she's watching these people go out the door, And she's going, oh, hang on here now. Is this fair? Is this fair on me? Is this respectful? So she wants to address that, and she does not like that feeling. There's a bit of resentment in there. She's got to address it. So she's a multitasker, she's responsible, she's conscientious, she's hardworking. All very, very important traits for employers that are out there. But of course, she finds herself, she's not sleeping too well at night. This is going through her head. What am I going to do with this? I'm stuck here. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? So we talk it out. Start to talk it out. And I actually give her a practice that she can do. So instead of involving herself and her energy in this particular thought, we just kind of displace that for a while to allow her to focus on what she needs to focus on. And she's got two parts here. Because one, she's a tremendous sense of loyalty to that company. Not only loyalty, but she's grateful for the work. Thank you for the work. It's not always easy, but thank you for the work. Very, very important, very nice attitude to have, in my opinion. But she wants to go and negotiate now, so she doesn't want to flounce out that door. She doesn't want to do that. She wants to state her case professionally in a way that she will be heard and see what can happen. So how do you negotiate that? So we work on that. At the same time, we're working on her CV, because one of the things that came up, and thank you so much to the guys I met this morning for coming in again today, is actually in her CV she had diminished some of the things she does. Because she thought, sure, Jenny Mac, anybody can do that. No, that's not entirely true. You know, you don't need to find a cure for cancer in order to be valuable. So we were working our way through that, and slowly but surely her focus is coming. And she goes in, she talks to the company hear her. We figure out who to talk to, we figure out the approach to give her the best chance of being heard and of getting resolution. But unfortunately, there's an organisation change going on, and nothing can be done for now. Now I'm going to go, Daragh. Okay. Let's look at the risk factors in doing that. We assess the risk factors. She hands in her notice. She, at the same time, is going to interviews. It's not working too well. She's got a very nicely put together CV. She knows how to tell her story, but there's other people out there too, good people too. They're competing hard. She never lost heart. For a couple of months, she kept at it. She kept at it. She kept on her mindset, being upbeat, being positive without misleading herself or codding herself. In the middle of August, she texted me, Daragh, two job offers. One a fixed-term contract. The other one in a lovely, shiny new building overlooking the Liffey above in Dublin. Which one will I take, Daragh? I said, that's not mine to answer. She's there now. That company has benefited from a person who's got great traits as a worker. Loyalty, communication, organisation, can-do attitude, problem solver. And she got there. She's delighted. So for the first time in her life, she took a structured approach to her career. She found the space mentally to find a little bit of solace for herself, and she went after it. Your values are your values. Her values were being a little bit interfered with, shall we say. Respect. A caring, kind person giving help wasn't reciprocated. Hit her. It hit her here. She had to do something about it. And she did. Everybody wins. That's this lady. I don't know what age she is. She's probably going to watch this video, so I'm going to say somewhere between 20 and 42, somewhere in there. But in the marketplace for a long time, and she's got her job now. And remember, this lady came out of school, she finished school after the Leaving Cert. Right. Now, this particular person is highly academically qualified and in a position of responsibility. And the title of this particular slide is Risk, Fear and Potential. Highly qualified, in a position of responsibility. And she's in this organisation. She went to school, she got her Leaving Cert, she went off and she did her degree and her master's. So very technically sound, we would say. She goes for a promotion in that organisation. She's in the same organisation all this, and twice kicked back. No dice. An opportunity for promotion came up the third time. So we start to talk, and she goes off, and then she comes back. Daragh, I'm going for it. That is ballsy. I'm going for it. So I said, right, Daragh, what can we do? Can we get this one? And I said, well, we'll certainly knuckle down to it. So one of the first things we did was, I remember I called over to her, and we just sat down together for a while, and I noticed in our conversation, do you know the way as Irish people we kind of knock ourselves a little bit? Actually, you're only a bit of an collegiate, Daragh. You'd almost say it out loud to yourself, or you wouldn't take credit for yourself or something. And I noticed something in her. And I said to her, now for the next week, your homework is this. Anytime you feel that thought coming into your head, I want you to do something else. Because there's an anxiety and there's an anxiousness that comes in it. And of course, there's a legacy from being said no to. That means other people are better. It means she wasn't good enough. That kind of stuff. So we went about addressing that, and she stuck with the knitting. So for that week, that was her job, and she kept at it then. Any negativity that was misleading or holding her back, stop. There's a couple of other challenges in here as well, in fact, and one of them is this, that whilst her CV is fantastic by any standards, and she feels pride in it, she is so intimidated or distrusting of the thought of a compliment or flattery that she can't go there. A very, very ordinary person would hate to be ever in a position to be hyped up. So we found a way for her to find dignity in what she did, to give her dignity, and she could accept that then. That then put her in a position to talk with more confidence about her achievements, which really she wasn't developed to the stage to do in the past. The third challenge that came in here is this, is that the organization that she worked for came up with this leadership model. There's 27 parts of the leadership model. You know, everything from innovation to networking to communication, stakeholder engagement, all this good stuff. But of course, there's leaders in the organization, and she can see these leaders. They're not hitting those 27 items 100% of the time. So, in her mind, she wants to be herself. But she's watching other people and saying, oh, hang on, do I succumb now? The answer was no. So we walked through her CV, we took out her story and said, you have it, you have it, you have it. Give them this answer. This is the answer. Tell them. Be proud of this, that you can handle this, that you're not conceding or you're not misleading anybody by showing them that you've got these leadership traits. And no, it does not mean you become conceited or bombastic. You don't become too big for your boots. You can be yourself, and you can still walk in the shoes of the leadership model that they have there. So, she was looking for this kind of mythical thing that's now known as authentic leadership. She was willing to trim around the edges, but she was not willing to convert herself into something that she didn't want to be. So it's quite a big deal now. So that's quite an intimidating thing to have on you as you push yourself forward to achieve your potential in the face of potentially getting knocked back again. It's a big career transition moment for her. But in amongst all the anxiety and the fear that she had, she kept that under control. We gave her ways to manage that. She went and put her best foot forward to achieve her potential. I was sitting at home on the sofa the Thursday night of that week, and I got a text. I was watching an old match. A text came in, Daragh, I can't believe that I got it. She got it. Third attempt, but she got it. Delighted with herself. That particular organisation, which is doing quite important work for all of us citizens of Ireland, are going to benefit from having this lady there, would be my opinion. Sure, she's caring, hardworking, highly intelligent. She has her own version of right or wrong that would be, I would say, as decent and reasonable. She's going to do it. So this lady has a position. Remember, she's highly qualified, guys. She's a lot of experience on her belt. But fear. So highly qualified people feel fear. They feel anxiety, risk. How can you get through it? She did it. So there's the first two, high performance, the confidence as well. Her confidence came. At least in time, at least enough to get through that interview which she delivered. And I hope her confidence is still there now. This third example, and I met quite a few people of this age category this morning, and this is about our motivation is our own. This particular guy, he's qualified as a primary school teacher. He's in his mid-20s. He doesn't have any major financial concerns. His relationships are stable around him. He's in the recruitment industry at the minute. He's actually doing quite sophisticated work, sourcing highly qualified surgeons to come in here and fix our hearts and our minds and all this kind of stuff inside in the hospitals. Not only is he sourcing them, but he's bringing them into society and make sure that they can get a roof over their head and all of those kind of things. So he gets in touch and says, I need to work on this. There's something I need to work on here. And very early in our conversations, because he's a well-paid job, he doesn't have any financial risk here really. What's the real need? Well, it came out that the real need is, and it came out in a very, very casual way, that the fellow over the road has a new car. Fell over the road his new car. And I'd love to have that because he looks happy. And I just said to him, how would you do with the car? I don't know. So the way that his mind was working, if I can get this thing here, then I'll feel a greater feeling of satisfaction. And in order to get the new car, I need to go into a different kind of job and earn the bucks. And the reality is, with the money he was getting, he could have got the car if he wanted. But he was using comparisons to drive himself forward. This is a highly, highly talented guy, actually. Brilliant fiddle player. He was in the Diamond Bar in Ennis there during the Fla. I went in to see him. Top notch. So, but not only was comparisons coming into his head as a motivation for him, the second thing was he was used to working at pace. So because he'd adapted to the job so quickly that he went into, remember, he's a primary school teacher, he's now in HR. How did he do that? At a young age. Pace. If there wasn't pace in his life, he felt something wasn't right. He wasn't moving. He wasn't contributing enough. And interestingly about this guy, when we looked at pace and the importance of pace, to dart from one area to another, you feel unsettled, I better do something, I better go in that direction, was slow. Slow down a minute. You've got time now, let's figure this out. One of the things that he discovered when he looked at his career, qualified as a primary school teacher, working now as an executive account manager in HR, we looked at his CV. His CV really was a piece of paper for him. He spent 6 years running a particular agri-business, and he gave himself no credit for it. All the organisation skills that would require, all the communication, all the health and safety that would require in that, all of the account management, all the financial management. He thought everybody could do that. No, not everybody can do that. So he's taking the time now to take the pace out and look at what he has under his belt and what his motivation is to take the next step in his career. Because if it is, I want that new car, I'm not sure that getting a new car is going to put a smile on his face for long. It's a nice smell off a new car, it looks good, but that ages then. So for him, taking the time to assess and focus on what his particular needs were so that he can bring some direction into where he's going with his career, because he has bundles of potential and he has bundles of experience even though he's only in his mid-20s. So it's a matter for him then to take his time, look at his academic options. And the other thing that was in here as well, he had a huge network that he didn't give himself credit for. In industry, in society, in culture. And we talked about that as well, that actually what you're looking for here, your answer could very well be in your network. And to give yourself credit for that. Staying in touch, having a chat every now and again, all an important part of traditional Ireland and contemporary Ireland. It's what you do. Go for a cup of tea, you go for a pint, you meet up, we go for a walk, all that stuff. Pick up the phone every now and again. Find out what's going on. So comparisons derail us. They can push us into a direction that we unwittingly run down. And then when we get there, we say, oh, Jenny Mac, what am I doing here? Take the time. Now, the time, I had a conversation with a particular individual about time today. Time is a great friend, but it's also a great enemy. But for him, with very little risk around where his work was at the minute, very little financial stress, time was the big thing for him. So three different people there. Three people that we worked together on during a time of career transition. One figured out a very professional way to exit a role when her values weren't being met, found herself another job. The other one, out for that promotion, kicked back twice, got back up on her feet, and got there. And the third one, a young guy where most of his values are being met, but is used to that pace of running, metaphorically, is to slow down, look around, make the best choice you possibly can for yourself. So, big one here, two weighty words that are either resonate or they're kind of watery. Hope and positivity at a time of career transition. To have no hope is a bit of a burden. To have hope that you'll get through it. So we all have ups and downs. I should probably say the vast majority of us have ups and downs in our careers. And we make trade-offs when we're going for the next step. We trade off on something as we move in another direction to fulfill our potential or to meet a particular need. Each of these people and other people are getting engaged, remembering to dedicate time, focus and energy to what you're doing, which is managing your way through a career transition, getting engaged. There are always different factors at play. There's health, financial well-being, family, And of course, your own well-being, how you're getting on, that you're emotionally and mentally well in what you're doing this. So, healthy levels of confidence, healthy levels of morale. Nobody wants to be misled. Nobody wants to go, an awful lot of people are very uncomfortable being conceited, but healthy levels of confidence that you're comfortable with, and your mindset is very, very important as you go through this challenge. And even though we may have very good social circles around us, and we have very supporting and loving families, they may not have the answers for you. They just may not have those skills, or you may be too close to them to hear what you need to hear. But there is support out there. That's Trishana, career transitions, 3 people who found their best path. Thank you very much.
Thank you.